I mean, I'm maybe just like a sad question to start. Because Colin Creevy dies this chapter where we learned about him dying.
Yeah.
What death has hit you guys the
What
hardest?
chapter are we on?
I think 34.
34,
The forest again.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I didn't realize he was in this one. Okay.
Yeah. So Harry kind of just passes him by, and Neville is holding him with Oliver Wood, and that's how he bumps into Neville there. But out of every death that's happened so far, which one has been the one that has hurt you guys the most, or the hardest one?
I laugh at all.
I know.
You go first. Otherwise, I'll cry, and I don't want to.
It's okay. You can let
But
it out.
apparently, I stunted his tears, so go first.
I would say Dumbledore's was the hardest because there was actually time to grieve within the story.
Yeah.
But I think these deaths are just so much more shocking. They just happen and then they're gone. And you're like, what? What just happened? And now we just have to go fight the Dark Lord?
Yeah.
So Colin Creevy was intense because you just don't expect it. There's not even a battle happening at the moment. So then it's just like, I don't know. Wait, what's that phrase about the innocents being...
Always the innocent to go, so it has been in ages past, so it is now.
There it is.
What? I didn't even catch that.
And then
So
Colin
Ferenc
Creevy,
says
to
in the
me,
beginning.
that feels like the perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Because I think everyone else kind of knew what they were getting themselves into. But he's so young and innocent that his heart was in the right place. He was being intentional about it, but he's just too young to even know better. I don't know. It just feels like he was too young.
I know. It's crazy. Like even Lupin and Tonks, it's like a throwaway line that their just bodies were just laying there. And so even in this chapter, when Harry sees them again, when he resurrects them, they all look younger, or Lupin at least, because he's the only one there, looks younger and he looks whole, and like that almost crushes you more. You're like Lupin. I mean, he wasn't like an old man, but he still was kind of young when he died.
Yeah.
All these people were pretty young. Dumbledore was the only one who wasn't really that young, but. It's interesting, too, because you guys were, like, happy when Snape died, and then all of a sudden all this new information comes up, and you're like, oh, man, I don't know if it hurts, but it's like... It hurts
it does.
bit, yeah.
Just because it leaves you confused, like, could they have done something different or better, or why did it happen like this? What if he had done this, or told him then, or wasn't so mean? Do we actually like him? I'm a little sad, but should I be?
Yeah, exactly.
So it just like
I
leaves
was
you with so many
always rooting
questions.
for him.
Yeah.
You were always rooting for him?
Except I think I rooted when he was being killed, too. to rewatch that. But I thought he would be redeemed before he died.
I know.
Yeah, that does stink.
So that was a little annoying.
It was interesting because it was always in your brain, I feel like, that Snape had the potential to be good. I remember one podcast we were talking and Danny was like, or I asked like, because you guys still had hope for Snape. You're like, Snape is still good before the 5th book, especially even before the 6th book. You're like, Snape is still good. And I was like, what could Snape do that would turn him and make him irredeemable in your guys' eyes? And I think you mentioned like killing someone. Like Danny was like, if he killed someone, that's like the moment. And then as soon as he kills Dumbledore, Danny's out.
I was like, that's
He's
it.
like, there's no way.
excuse. And it's all because of that line of Dumbledore saying, please.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
So that was funny.
Yeah. It really fools you with that one.
But he's saying, please kill me.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we discussed this. Like, do what we discussed, please. But we just took it the opposite way.
Because that's what she's such a good
how
writer,
could
so
you?
you're
Yeah,
supposed
exactly.
to. Until you know the ending, you're like, he's saying please, begging for his life. Where in reality, he's saying please, begging for Snape to kill him.
Yep.
It's so good. It's such
I mean,
a
it
good
always
turn
brings
of
me back
phrase.
to the Buckbeak moment of the unmistakable thud, which was mistakable because it wasn't the thud of a beheading. Yeah,
I
so
don't even remember that.
it's just like another time where she like clearly led us somewhere, and then there was a curveball. Although time travel, who could have seen that one coming? But
Yeah, she has some interesting things in here.
but wait, Jen, what death was hardest for you?
I already answered that. Weren't you paying attention?
I guess not enough. Do I get a hint, or I have to wait till the podcast comes out?
I didn't say it.
I was gonna say I missed it too. Though.
Okay, nice.
I don't know. I just said some stuff about Snape. Dumbledore was the shocking one, I think, though. I was maybe not the sad. I don't know. I don't know if that would count as saddest, but most shocked.
Yeah, I guess whatever like
'Cause
affected
I
you
thought
most.
he was like one of the main characters that were going to defeat Voldemort. So.
Yeah.
But the other ones didn't bother me as much. They should.
It's interesting.
guess.
No, it doesn't necessarily matter. I don't think they should or not. I think everyone like has this expectation. You know, a bunch of people who are reading for the first time, especially reading between the books, like you got to sit with the characters for all the time in between the books. So you had like all sorts of theories and like there's just a different emotional connection. But
So true.
with most people who read them now, like they're not so devastated by, you know, one or two of the deaths. Like I know some people who, when Sirius died, that was like the only one that they cared about. Like they were like love Sirius, and when he's dead, they don't even want to read the books anymore because they're so devastated. But like some of my family, they read this and they're like, there's certain parts where they get choked up, but I love hearing where everyone kind of gets choked up in the series. And like deaths are just a natural one where like people get choked up at. But my brother read through the series and he got choked up at a totally different one. None of the deaths, but a totally different moment that's coming up. That's just like so good. It's great. And it was so cute to hear him get choked up at that. But it's interesting that none of you guys did not think that Harry was the most devastating death. So do you not think he's dead?
No.
I don't.
Interesting.
I don't know enough. I'm holding my breath on that, and you know what? I think there needs to be conclusion before there could be grief. So for me, I'm like, did it? And she's too tricky about everything, so I'm waiting for there to be like some kind of something.
All right.
So no, I do not think of him as dead yet. So we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe we'll
Yeah,
see.
I don't know if I would really process any of these deaths. I just read over
Yeah.
them.
Well, that's why it would be
And I
so
wanna know
crazy.
what's
You want
next.
answers.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like between books, with processing big deaths and having to wait for the next book gives you a lot of time to like grieve and think it over.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then even just growing up with the characters, if you've read the books over years, it would mean the characters have been in your life for a longer period of time.
Yeah.
So again, just the stunted reading experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, welcome to the podcast. I'm John,
Jen.
Danny.
And Kristen.
and this is Harry Potter and the First Time Readers. So I don't think this chapter is going to be incredibly long, but we'll have a little discussion on this one, and then we'll just kind of listen to the next one.
They didn't tell theirs.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah.
That's a good
What?
point.
What were your two
Oh.
most devastating up till now?
Up till now, okay.
Because Harry's still alive.
Yeah. If only for another second and a half.
Because Harry's still alive. Trying to think.
Or is it different because you watched the movie first and then the
Yeah,
book?
maybe. I feel like this time around Sirius was rough for me. I'm trying to remember. It was so long ago.
I know, seriously. I know.
Yeah, like when was that? I don't even know.
It's like
Year
more
and a
than a
half
year
ago?
ago, yeah.
No, probably a year. I don't know. I gotta think about that. But maybe him.
Each one hits me
For
at
me,
different. Each
it's-
read hits me at different times. I think
Yeah.
the one this one that was maybe most affected was the Tonks and Lupin Tonks and Lupin one, because every single time I forget how much of a throwaway it is, and it's just so devastating. Especially when you reread this, like rereading the whole series, you'll see just some devastating things that she put in right before. Tonks, right before this passage where they die, you have the whole idea that Tonks is essentially looking for Lupin.
Yeah.
And like searching the castle for Lupin. And it's kind of like a microcosm of the relationship where they're like, they're not really on the same page, and then finally they come together, and then it's the end of their life. It's like they had such a short time together, which is just devastating. And like there was a lot of turmoil in the midst of it, and finally they were happy. They had a moment when they were happy. You know, they had the kid, and it was so you're like, this is great. Finally, some joy in this war that we haven't gotten in the entire series, and then all of a sudden both of them are dead, and it's devastating. So that one probably hit me the hardest for this one. I think on my first time read,
But you loved it.
first time read, I think Fred was the hardest. That was one where I was devastated because you just love the twins in your first time read. I mean, every read you love
mention
them.
him.
I was going to, but I thought you might, so I wanted to leave you at least one. No, because I think he started off the deaths, where then you're like, oh, this is real. It's happening now. This is not like a future battle. This is the battle. So I feel like that's why it really catches you with a left hook.
Yeah.
I think if it was one of the three, like I said, I'm including Harry.
Yeah.
If it was like Ron or Hermione, that probably would have been rough. Up to now, whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
And we'll hit the movie deaths too when we actually do the next few movies.
Yeah, those I'll probably cry. So
Yeah.
you'll get your tears.
Honestly, they're pretty devastating. The Dumbledore death, they do change to some extent, and we'll talk about that a
interesting.
lot. The Cedric death is really good in the movies.
I was just gonna say I forgot about that.
yeah,
one.
that was a
that
tough
one
one.
hits me.
Yeah, it just comes out of nowhere. The Dobby
Yeah.
death is really good. Someone is saying the Dobby one is really
I forgot
good.
about Dobby.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
I can't
you're right.
remember. That one was sad.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yep.
That's up there.
It
Everyone's
feels like so
dying.
long ago.
I know.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So
Wow.
much has happened since
know.
Dobby.
True.
I
It's because
know.
she always waits till like the end, and then it's like bam, 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 bam.
Mm.
Well, sorry, I'm not trying to. Well, maybe I am. I don't like world building. I just want like facts. Just tell me the
It's such
story.
a funny reading experience. You're like, just give me the freaking answer.
And then
Stop
it's like
beating around the bush.
describing the forest or the building. I'm like, I could care less. Like, I just tell me what the story.
It was so funny too during our live read of the Prince's Tale or the Elder Wand when Voldemort's like circling his prey. He's like, oh, you know, this is why the wand doesn't work for me. And he just doesn't arrive at the point. And Jen's like, will you just say what the heck the answer is already? You like couldn't even do it.
I was like, how many times are you going to say the same thing over and over again? Like, just stop. Like, that doesn't, I don't know. I guess I'm not a reader because it doesn't work for me.
Makes it so funny to me. But this is for a lot of, you'll kind of get this as we go on through the last, which is now the last 3 chapters, which is crazy. But I'm curious at the end of the series what you think is like the best chapter, the culmination of all the chapters, because a lot of fans love this one for different reasons that we'll kind of come to at the very end of the series. But in the beginning of this, Harry kind of comes out of this dream, or it comes out of the memory, and again he's like, he has this line. It says, Harry understood at last that he was not supposed to survive. His job was to walk calmly into death's welcoming arms. Along the way, he was to dispose of Voldemort's remaining links to life so that when at last he flung himself across Voldemort's path and did not raise a wand to defend himself, the end would be clean, and the job that ought to have been done in Godric's Hollow would be finished. Neither would live. Neither could survive. So,
Was that the summary of this chapter?
no. Oh, we didn't even do a summary of this chapter.
That was me nudging lightly.
Do you want to do the summary?
No. This one.
Yeah, do it. You're good at them.
I don't remember. That's why I wanted
That's why
it.
she needs a
Oh,
summary.
she
yeah.
needs a summary. I think I do too.
Well, this is Harry's his death march, you know?
Yeah.
So he at the end of the last chapter, we're left wondering, is he going to how is he going to react to everything he saw? And we were being skeptical. Then we find out he's kind of accepting it from the first paragraph, like John just read.
Oh, that's when he like tucks his wand in and
Yeah.
like walks.
Yeah, he's saying, I'm going to just go for it.
But then some people are appearing that are like,
Right, so that was from
Kinda
the
ghosts.
Resurrection Stone. because
Oh, that was in the Stitch because he tells a snitch.
Yeah.
Because
so you got a lot of
he-
answers in this chapter.
Clothes.
But
he said the clothes. I forget exactly what the wording was. It wasn't exactly a clothes, but like
I'm gonna
he goes, "I'm ready to
die,"
die, yeah.
or
like the
something.
close of
Close of his life.
story, his life. Yeah. So then he feels the resurrection stone, sees all the people, and then he kind of gets to
They walk with him.
for a little bit, and then he makes it to
Sorry, now I
Voldemort.
remember.
yeah, and all the neurons are firing. Right before that too, he tells Neville he like spills.
Oh, yeah.
Not necessarily spills the beans, but he's like, you have to destroy the snake. He tells Neville that he has
Mm.
to destroy the snake right before, and then it gets to like his processional. Then he walks, gets down to the forest, like has all the memories of Hagrid and his cabin, and goes into the forest, finds the resurrection stone and everything Danny said. Yeah. Then he kind of like walks through this, and then at the very end of the chapter, he sees a flash of green light, and then that's the end of the chapter.
Oh, and Hagrid was in the
Yeah,
circle there,
alive.
captive.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, and he's like, Harry, don't go.
yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Blah blah blah.
And then you had that line.
Who had what line?
Well, he was reading the line and I interrupted him.
This is another line that you have, which I want. This is part of the same thing, but it says Dumbledore's betrayal was almost nothing. Of course, there had been a bigger plan. Harry had simply been too foolish to see it. He realized that now. So again, was Dumbledore really just raising him like a pig for slaughter? Is the whole purpose of Harry's life? Has the whole purpose of Harry's life been to die at this moment?
I guess I don't get that though. Like, why keep him? I guess it's like either Dumbledore just needed to figure out all the Horcruxes, and until he figured them out, Harry could live. Like, I don't
And
understand.
also, I'm trying to remember in the memories though when Dumbledore knew that Harry would have to die, because maybe he didn't know that Harry was a Horcrux, and he's looking at everything else and saying, like, maybe there's a chance, or we have to figure out a way to work this out. And then he just concluded, and he's so good with his emotions, you can't tell. So it came off a little cold in the memory of like, yeah, he's gotta, this is how it has to be. But that's the same way Dumbledore was about his own death. He finds out he has, wizard cancer here, and basically he kind of knows like this is serious, and says, all right, well, I'm gonna face this and come up with a new plan and pivot, and I think I'm assuming the same kind of thing with Harry, where it may have come off cold, but only because he realized it's what had to be done. But I'm still trying to hold out hope that there's more to the Dumbledore side, but I just can't figure out how.
Yeah.
Like, what would that missing piece be where Dumbledore really did care for him? What's the Dumbledore always, where, how could he have not been raising Harry in a manipulative way? I just can't quite figure it out.
Well, I guess there's a point to it in this chapter where you see, like, maybe here's a question: do you think that Dumbledore loved Harry?
Yes.
Yes.
I feel like. Can I say something?
Yeah.
May I actually speak? may I blink? I feel like he grew to love him. If that makes sense. Because I feel
How?
like it's all kind of like just making sense to me now, even with like how he was a Horcrux. So it's like in order to get rid of Voldemort, you have to get rid of the Horcruxes. So it's like, I wonder if Dumbledore thought of him as just like this object kind of at first. So it was like he kind of was taking him under his wing, but through that he kind of learned to love, like, he got to know him.
Yeah.
So it's like the more you get to know him, and Harry, is he lovable? I was going to say he's like lovable, but he's like his own, he's Harry, he's just so
He's an
Harry.
angsty
It's like,
teen.
how could you
Yeah.
not grow to love him?
Yeah.
You know the line that's a little weird to me from Dumbledore, where Snape is complaining about Harry, just like his father, mediocre, arrogant. And Dumbledore does defend Harry, say you see what you expect to see. But then he says, personally, I find him an engaging child. And that just feels kind of like distant to me. I'm like,
He's so utilitarian.
yeah, just like, he's a pretty engaging child. It's like, it just feels so scientific and like he's just from a distance observing a Horcrux walking around, just like analyzing him.
Reminds me of
It just
Sherlock.
feels weird. Yeah, exactly. Just like a very He's just assessing him. He's an engaging child, not loving him, not like this deep. There's not feeling there. It's just like he's engaging. Like his merit is just how much he entertains you.
Yeah,
like
I know,
again,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
the engagement of him that is what is appealing. When I feel like there are so many other things Dumbledore could have said, but again,
Where
you don't put
was
all your
that?
secrets in one basket. So
The
that's on page
Princess Tale.
679 of this book. I don't know if it's the
Yeah,
same,
it's not gonna be
but it's
close to
when
the Princess Tale.
Harry's in the memory in the Prince's Tale, and it's kind of in
Probably
when
toward the end of that one.
Snape is the teacher now, and he's talking to Dumbledore. Harry's probably, this must be in book 2 or 3 or something. And he's just kind of venting, and it's a funny moment. So I'm not sure if we have any indication of when this would be in the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harry obviously has
It
he's a
is
little funny,
interesting
but
because I feel like there's a point where Dumbledore is really good at talking the talk of all this kind of stuff, like, you know, talking about the power of love. But the question is, does Dumbledore really ever love anyone, or does he have any love in his heart, or has he shut that out for himself? Because I mean, you talk about the way that he even, like, he mentions that line is such a funny line to me, because he talks about Cedric at Cedric's funeral in a much more beautiful way.
yes,
Then he talks about Harry, who he spends like all
you're
this time
so
with.
right.
With Harry, he's just like an interesting, you know, subject. With Cedric,
That's
it was like,
'cause-
remember a boy who is good. Like, he remembers him for his goodness and for his
Right.
kindness, and, you know, the things that make up a Hufflepuff. And you're like,
But maybe because it's like he's like an unknown, like they don't know which way he could go. Because I was even
Yeah.
thinking while you guys were talking, like, what if Dumbledore shared this information with Harry too young, and then Harry actually wants to join forces with, like, the crazy opposite, where he could join
Yeah.
forces with Voldemort,
Yeah.
and they both would be against everyone. Like, they could live forever because if they're, let's say, connected. So
Yeah,
I don't know if he
Voldemort
had to be
poisoning his
careful
mind.
because he also got burned by bringing
Yep.
Voldemort
Voldemort
in, and so he had to keep his like, I don't know. There's other things that probably play into him
Yeah, he's been
distancing
burned.
himself and not falling in love with this boy, and like, let's keep him alive and see what he's capable of.
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right.
Because
yeah.
if you got burned already once by
I know.
like bringing someone into like knowledge and power.
Yeah, he's kind
Yeah.
of like shut himself off of that a little bit. Yeah, which, I mean, that's like the question. So, I mean, one of the tough ones is, when did Dumbledore really know about this plan? Because if he knew about this from the start, he seems like he was being manipulative from a while. But if he knew about this maybe later on and he grew to love Harry, then this becomes a much more devastating decision that he has to make. But it seems like he knew this early on. So maybe he just grows to love Harry and it becomes painful for him to do this. Like, did he send them off to Petunia's and Vernon's so that he could just be safe, so that
Or
he could
he
die at the
knows
proper
some
time?
other ancient magic that
Yeah.
he's like, you have to sacrifice yourself, but you're not actually going to die.
But here's the tough part of that is, has there been any indication in the books ever that Dumbledore has known something like there's been, like, you know, this.
The whole book, he's known something Harry didn't know.
Yeah, that's true, but he's known something Harry hasn't known, didn't know, that Harry was supposed to die. Has there been any indication where Dumbledore's, like, you know, like, shot this, like, you know, has been like victorious over something and, like, you know, maybe spilled some beans to Harry inadvertently about, oh, there's a way that you can live?
The
It doesn't
only
seem
time,
like that.
no, yeah.
Yeah.
Only time was like, I don't think that's answering your question, but when the Ministry of Magic, when Voldemort tries to take over Harry's body, and he has to get out
Yeah.
of it because it's too much like love.
Yeah.
But that's what I find strange too. Like they're I don't know. It's weird because I'm like, if he took over the body, there's too much love, but he left it. So couldn't that part of him leave and he'd still be alive?
Yeah, I guess we just don't know how Horcruxes work, especially in a human.
But also, if he's trying to kill Harry, but you have to use, what is it? You have to use dark magic to kill a Horcrux?
No,
like it.
different. Because the Sword of Gryffindor was not dark,
Oh,
and
right.
that could kill it.
All I'm saying is, like, what would would it actually kill Harry though? Like, even if you used the
Right,
killing
right.
curse. Because if, let's say, he is a Horcrux, would a killing curse kill a Horcrux? I don't know.
Well, we had speculated, what if the person who created the Horcrux is the one doing it?
Yeah.
And that would be different. Or
And
the
it
Elder
kills
Wand
himself?
being...
That's what I thought on
So,
my
like, those are
last
two ways
recording.
that it could still work.
And even the sword only can destroy a Horcrux because it's impregnated with something not wicked, but a basilisk venom.
Oh.
So that's the reason it can destroy a Horcrux, not because it's just the sword of Gryffindor.
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
Because I thought, like, even Dumbledore had trouble. So I'm like, even like
Yeah.
if you're doing the killing curse on, I know it's a person, but if it's a Horc,
Yeah.
like, what does that combo look like? And could you actually kill them with the killing curse?
Wait, could who...
Like, could Voldemort actually kill
Harry or
Harry,
his own Horcrux? Or
because if
yeah.
he's part Horcrux, part Voldemort, what is that going to do?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the question that we're left with at the end of the chapter, because we don't know. But you know what? My faith in Dumbledore is growing, because it opened at the
Sounds
close.
like it.
And well, I guess that's a weird thing too. Like, Dumbledore knew there was going to be a close. He knew that Harry would still have this snitch at the close of his life. And then he kind of, it seems like, knew that Harry was going to figure it out at the end. But then...
But is he just setting him up
Yeah.
to, like, stage an acting thing when he's setting, like, he's spilling, like, little information so everyone believes this, but it's not actually true. Like, Dumbledore
So
could
everyone
be
believes
feeding
what?
Snape, saying, like, he has to die, and then those are the memories that people see, and then they're believing it, and then Harry actually goes and sacrifices himself, but actually that's the best thing, sacrificing yourself.
Right, because that's love.
there's no...
So you guys mentioned this, I think, during the live read, or maybe even last one. So you think by Harry sacrificing himself like this, that there's going to be some kind of protection on the school or something like that, or
I
on the
think-
rest of the people?
Kind of on
did
everyone
say
else,
that,
because
right?
he's dying for them
But
willingly
if
in
that's
this
the case,
moment.
then you guys
kind
have
of.
to admit that Harry's going to die then.
Well, yeah, but that's the only way that I
Nah.
could be okay with it.
I want
Oh
both.
yeah, because it's like, then that makes sense. Again, that's the that kind of finishes the. Ooh, interesting. I was going to say finishes the Christ arc, but it actually doesn't. And so it's, to me, it feels like this is his moment to do what Dumbledore wants him to do, and he has chosen in this chapter to trust Dumbledore by saying, you know what? If I have to die, then I do, and I'm going to go. And he seems to not even question it. And he's going to do it with his wand down. So I think as he's trusting Dumbledore, I am too.
And to be completely,
but I'm confused
well,
still.
I have one slight amendment to that. I don't know so much as if he's trusting Dumbledore so much as he's just coming to the realization himself
Oh,
of really
yeah.
realizing this is what he needs to do, and he's known it all along.
Right.
Like there's a
right.
point to this chapter where you're like, Harry is marching down, and he's like, he comes to this realization, and he's like, okay, so Dumbledore kind of explains this, but in the back of his mind, I think he's like, I knew this was my allotted path the entire time. He's, I don't know, there's a hint to this chapter where it seems like that, but maybe it is just flat out he's trusting in Dumbledore for this. So if he's trusting in Dumbledore, maybe Dumbledore has like this greater path laid out for him, but you just don't know.
Wait, what? My thought process was why Dumbledore gave him the Resurrection Stone for just, if he even knew that this was the moment, just to say goodbye to some people, like, or to have a little extra nudge. Did he need that nudge?
No, I
It
think
didn't seem
was
like
to
it, but
not
maybe.
be alone.
Yeah.
Sure, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm trying to find a way where he has all of the Hallows together because he has the Resurrection Stone, he has the invisibility cloak, and he has a wand on his chest. But whose wand is that?
Draco's.
It's Draco's wand.
The only
Draco
thing
didn't
is,
even pick up his
I
own
thought
wand.
he,
His
like,
parents did.
dropped the stone, so it's not like he
Would
had it
Dumbledore
on
have
him.
given Draco the Elder Wand as a child to use all his time, knowing
raising
that Harry would
Draco
end up with it?
to be a
Because
pig for slaughter.
it feels like Dumbledore has set up this moment, and I just want to see what's the thing where this goes well, because it doesn't look like it now. And
Yeah, but I'm the one that has the faith in things that you don't. So.
But I'm trying to logic my way into them, like it working out. And the wand is the part that we just don't understand. Voldemort is convinced he has the Elder Wand.
I don't think it's gonna work for him if it is the wand.
But then how does Harry get it?
Because he's the better wizard.
But he's dead. He
He's
could
not
be dead.
dead.
Well, we just don't know. But the thing is, Voldemort is literally using the wand to attack Harry. So that feels weird. Like,
yeah, but if it's someone that's not putting up a fight, would it actually kill them?
Is that in a weird way like more noble? The wand's like, yo, I respect that, Harry.
And there, I mean,
I
yeah,
don't think
maybe.
so.
Yo, I respect that.
Wand lore in this book has been really
chain
interesting
that he's
because
Yeah, it comes out of me now.
Yeah, I didn't even touch that.
wand lore has been interesting in this book because you've seen wands passed in really bizarre ways. Like the Elder Wand is passed through, it seems like sneaky, like inadvertent ways. It's not necessarily just, flat out beating the owner in a duel. It's like, his Dumbledore is disarmed and all of a sudden Snape comes and kills him. So it's like he gets the wand because this weird little occurrence happened versus like even other people like Hermione or Ron steals all these wands from snatchers, and maybe are they the rightful owners of the wand? The same thing with like Draco's wand. Like Harry has Draco's wand now. Is he the rightful owner of Draco's wand? What does that mean for everything? It's like
Yeah.
Like,
wand
that's
ownership
what-
is weird in this book.
That's why I also think that like it has kind of its mind of its own. So like if it's made for that whole death with the Hallows tale, right? Or whatever.
Right.
Harry is a tale in his own too. So like he defeated death also. So in a way, couldn't he be like his own elder wand? Like can't he be his own Hallow? Like
What you threw me off with that one.
like
He's a Horcrux and a Hallow. Double whammy.
yeah,
You're saying just
and
because
that's why he survived.
his story is like something that would be in the fairy tale book?
Yeah, like it's like all these are trying to defeat death, but
And he did
Harry
that.
actually defeated death as a person. So like is it possible that it won't work on him?
And would he still have love protection?
He
Or is
has
that a
it all.
one-time use
He's got it all.
thing? Yeah, he does have it all. And if he gets love
why he
protection,
can't
wouldn't he
die.
have gotten that from a bunch of other people already? Like, in a weird way, aren't all these people dying for Harry? Like, did Dumbledore give him a little love protection in the meantime?
I know,
And,
but
like,
my point was about like the death thing because
that he's a Hallow?
no, that like all these objects were to defeat death. Everything in this book is to defeat death, and like Harry's the only one that's actually like accomplished that.
Right.
So like everyone wants what he is. So like, is it possible that like nothing can touch him?
So here's another line that we even have in this whole series where it says, Harry pulled the invisibility cloak over himself and descended through the floors. At last, walking down the marble staircase into the entrance hall, perhaps some tiny part of him hoped to be sensed, to be seen, to be stopped. But the cloak was, as ever, impenetrable, perfect. And he reached the front doors easily. Do you guys think if you were in that situation, you would have done what Harry did and not said goodbye, or would you have said goodbye?
I think I would have said goodbye, but then it'd probably be harder to say goodbye. I don't know.
Yeah. I'd like to say that I would have said goodbye. That's my instinct. But I think in that moment, there's a certain fragility to doing what you have to do. So once you know you have to do something, especially hard things or things you don't want to do, sometimes, I don't know if you've experienced this, where you feel like you just can't think about anything else. You just got to like do it. You kind of beeline for the thing because you know if you have a chance to stop or say goodbye or do whatever other thing. In Harry's case, he might not do it, or it would slow him down, or it would just like mess with his resolve. So in that moment, maybe that's the only way to do it, because that would be torturous to say all his goodbyes. It's a little weird that he only said goodbye to Neville. Kind of. He spoke to him, but that was it. Neville didn't know. And then I'm curious what even happens to the Pensieve. Are Hermione and Ron running out trying to find Nagini now?
Yeah. And how are they going to destroy Nagini?
Right. And it has to be happening like now. Because otherwise it gets more complicated with Voldemort and he'll still have a Horcrux left. And then, yeah, so I don't know. It's a little weird. So
Yeah.
I guess the not saying goodbye makes sense to me.
Yeah, it makes sense. I just don't know if I could do.
I know. But I wasn't mad about it when I was reading it. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, because you guys were even debating that in the previous one. You're like, would he go, tell Hermione or go with them or like, communicate this? And I think Danny, you were like, yeah, he definitely would. He should. It would show a lot of growth. And then all of a sudden he's going and he's doing this alone, which is very Harry, but it's like almost noble of Harry to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like respect him for it almost.
I don't know. And maybe he knows it too. I don't know if anyone else would have understood. I can't imagine Hermione or Ron being like, that sounds like a good idea. We support you. Like, I think they would try and talk him out of it and say, we have to come up with some other plan. For him just to say, no, I need to actually die. I don't know. Just that would take some convincing. And he doesn't have time for that. So they'd be pretty out of the loop, not knowing all the memories. And that's a tough story to explain. But that's also kind of sad because then if Harry dies, they would never know that Snape was good.
Yeah.
Except Dumbledore's portrait is the only remaining thing that would kind
Would
of
have
know.
been nice if all three of them went into the pensive.
Yeah, I know.
And that is possible because Dumbledore did with Harry before.
I know, but it's just like they disappeared.
But it seems like they didn't.
Because then they all could come out and then Harry could just be like, bye.
It's intense.
I know. Was the moment where he pulls the resurrection stone out of the snitch, was that a surprise to you guys? Do you guys, again, even I guess to your question, is there a purpose for that other than him just to not be alone when he's dying?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I just can't figure out what. Because I'm trying to find a way where Harry gets all three. I mean, it's the title of the book after all. And I can't figure out if that's how Dumbledore could have orchestrated that, either in the past, like we had said, after the wand was first stolen by Grindelwald from Grigorovich, it felt like there was a moment where Dumbledore borrowed the invisibility cloak from James back when they died, that we were saying Dumbledore might have had all three of these items then. Although, no.
Not the stone.
No, you're right, because that's back when I was saying there was a chance that the resurrection stone was the philosopher's stone.
Yeah.
So could he have had
two.
all three of these items? So yeah, he had two, and that could have done something. But now all three of these items are within the same circle of fighting. And I'm just trying to see how Dumbledore could have set this up in any kind of way to go well. And it feels like that's why the resurrection stone was in the snitch. Again, I don't know why, or maybe this is all part of like a thing to get them destroyed because it's too much power. So when Harry and the Horcrux get, killed in some crazy way, then maybe all of these things die or something. I don't know. And then it's a way that there's no more Horcrux issue, no more Hallows, and they're all just left behind all at once, maybe. But I feel like Dumbledore has a plan.
Yeah.
I just wish I knew what it was.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole idea in this, is that you just don't know what is going on. Like, to some extent. You see, like, Harry is walking in willingly, and I don't know. There's a point to it where you're like, maybe Dumbledore's plan really just was exactly what Harry's thinking. But I guess sometimes part of your love for Dumbledore is, he wouldn't just, have that. But it's like the reverse of Snape. You only really hated Snape and you wanted him like bad things to happen to Snape, and all of a sudden he's good. So it's maybe like it's the opposite. With Dumbledore you love, then all of a sudden you realize he's a little bit more corrupt and mature or immature and like really manipulated the situation, and it's just going to be left with that, which is just. It would be a tough one, but it's very human nature,
Are we
Right.
calling Snape good?
Oh yeah. I mean, he works on the good side, and not the good person.
Yeah.
Well, that goes to my theory about all Slytherins. Also, anyway.
Wait, what about all Slytherins?
No, they're all Death Eaters, but you guys
you
guys said no. You could be good and bad and blah blah blah.
And then, I guess like when John was saying that, I didn't know exactly who that would be. Someone like in my mind, Horace was a great example, because he was kind of helpul. Oh,
he the couch?
Slughorn. Wait, what?
Wait, was
When he was
that
the
the one that turned himself into a couch?
Yeah, exactly.
Literally all I think of when I hear that name.
And it feels like Dumbledore kind of trusted him and whatever, but every other Slytherin was eh. And then Dumbledore even told Snape, like, we maybe sort too early, like he might have been a Gryffindor. And then according to that theory, it's like, maybe all Slytherins really are bad. None of them stayed behind to fight.
I know. That was devastating. None of them stayed back.
Yeah, which I was right about.
Yeah.
Also,
Yep.
so 10-2.
Maybe.
We do have, again, someone gave all the predictions for like certain things, and we'll have like a little discussion after the whole podcast is done, and we'll talk about what your predictions
Someone
were.
actually tallied.
Someone went back and like recorded all of the predictions.
That's
there's
awesome.
a thing in our Discord, and it's just one person essentially was listening to it, and we caught them early enough that they're like, all right, I'll just,
No
so
way.
after every podcast,
yeah.
they would like, right at this minute, Jen predicts
my
this, and at this
goodness.
minute, Danny predicts this. And I can. There's
I
like,
wanted to know this.
Yeah, I know,
can't
it's a
believe
long
someone actually
document,
did
so-
it.
That is
I'm very excited to go through that guys, with you
Crazy.
guys, because it's gonna be fun.
Wait,
props to them.
Because you guys forgot more than
Yes.
half the stuff that you predicted
Yep.
anyway. So
Well, some of it.
Wow, that's exciting.
I hope
gonna
I
be fun.
win.
Yeah, all of a sudden it's a competition with the real
What do
winner.
you
always
mean
just
all
been
of
a
a sudden?
competition.
It's
Well,
always
it's been a vague idea of a competition, but now there's going to be a score. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm excited about.
You're excited to lose, huh?
No, I'm winning. I mean, yeah, it could be close.
We'll see what we have to bet on it, you know?
I love the sentimentality of this chapter though. There's a few moments, especially when it says when Harry's like marching and he is about to use the resurrection stone. It says again, Harry understood without having to think. It did not matter about bringing them back, for he was about to join them. He was not really fetching them; they were fetching him. And then when they're back, it says Lily's smile was widest of all. She pushed her long hair back as she drew closer to him, and her green eyes, so like his, searched his face hungrily, as though she would never be able to look at him enough. You've been so brave. He could not speak. His eyes feasted on her. And he thought that he would like to stand and look at her forever. And that would be enough. Yeah, I mean, you guys, we've talked about why Harry brought them back, but this is like the final line, which shows just a lot of Harry's bravery in this whole section. It says, and Voldemort says, I thought he would come, said Voldemort in his high, clear voice, his eyes on the leaping flames. I expected him to come. Nobody spoke. They seemed as scared as Harry, whose heart was now throwing itself against his ribs as though determined to escape the body he was about to cast aside. His hands were sweating as he pulled off the invisibility cloak and stuffed it beneath his robes with his wand. He did not want to be tempted to fight. It seems mistaken, said Voldemort. You weren't, said Harry. And he said it as loudly as he could, with all the force he could muster. He did not want to sound afraid. The resurrection stone slipped from between his numb fingers, and out of the corner of his eyes he saw his parents, Sirius and Lupin, vanish as he stepped forward into the firelight. At that moment, he felt that nobody mattered but Voldemort. It was just the two of them. What do you think about Harry in this whole chapter? He shows a lot of maturity, but how did you like him as marching to his death like this?
Pretty
I liked him.
noble. Brave.
Pretty true Gryffindor.
Yeah. I didn't realize.
Represent.
Yep.
I'm not like that. They'd have to drag me out. I'd be hiding in my invisibility cloak and no one would ever find me.
It's like, what's that? What's the one guy who like falls asleep in the middle of the woods and like wakes up 30 years later? Rip Van Winkle. That's what Jenn would be. She'd be like a legend in Hogwarts. She would just go under the invisibility cloak, fall asleep in the forest for 30 years, and all of a sudden wake up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, probably. Yikes.
The final question before we do the read. Is Harry dead? I mean, I asked that a lot of times. Final
How many
predictions.
variations of our
Yeah.
answer can we give?
There's not a ton of else we can even discuss in this chapter unless Danny
It's
has
like
anything
yes
else. But
or no or something in between. You look so tan.
I think he's dead.
I had it
he's dead.
just-
Yep.
So, I mean, the
random
options, you guys are even saying this. If he's dead, then he's cast a protection spell. And maybe everyone in Hogwarts is going to be safe. If he's alive, how does that work? If he's alive, what is the point of it? Is then Harry go and defeat Voldemort himself and kill the snake?
I'm sorry, I got distracted.
Very good by Danny's tan.
And
Yeah.
eyes wore dark, isn't it? What's the
You're on the dark side.
Christmas with the
that's
cranks.
The point.
Tim Allen wears dark colors so he doesn't look tan. I was trying to mimic him.
I'm wearing red, so I match my sunburn.
Nice.
Wait, yeah, sorry.
I feel like Ron and Hermione will take care of Nagini. I don't know how. Oh, and Neville, the three of them. I kind of think Harry's dead.
So, what happens if
I
Harry's
don't
dead?
think he's dead. If
Well-
Harry's dead, so
Does-
is Voldemort. Except not really because of
No.
Nagini.
Yeah, wait. How would Voldemort get killed then?
Literally, that was my whole theory, and we were talking about it for a long time.
Wait, how then?
Because he's killing a part of himself. He's killing another Horcrux.
Yeah, but even if he does, and then even if Ron,
I just have a
Hermione,
feeling it
and Neville kill
backfires.
Nagini, Voldemort is still there,
No,
tetherless, but
I
he'd be
don't
there.
think so.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, then who kills Voldemort?
Like, I think he if Voldemort, if you kill your own Horcrux, I feel like you should die.
But again, I think it would only be the Horcrux.
Yeah.
But then he could still die by another means, like something with using the wand when he's not the rightful owner. If Harry was the rightful owner, so the wand kind of works, but then also
Oh,
explodes or
if Harry
something.
is the rightful owner and he uses it on Harry, then he's
Then
killing
Harry
himself.
can't be defeated with it.
I've said that before too.
Yeah, but I just can't. It doesn't work for me. I want it to be
Whoa.
true. I just can't figure out how it would be in a satisfying way. But then, does
Your
everyone else come
theory's not
together?
satisfying
No, I know. That's
either,
why
so-
none of them are. We don't have enough pieces. So I'm like, would everyone else then fight Voldemort together? He won't have any tethers. What?
Yeah, because that's working really well right now.
No, I know. But then,
So
I
basically,
actually
at the
think
end
they
of this
could.
book, you think Voldemort is the winner.
no, I think he'll be dead. And
Bye.
good wins.
But how?
Either by Harry, the rest
You
of the
just
students,
said
or
that he
everybody.
died.
Yeah, I think he is dead. But I'm saying if he did,
Die.
then the Horcrux is dead. Then Ron, Hermione, Neville kill Nagini. Then it's just Voldemort, real Voldemort.
But no one's ever been able to defeat real Voldemort. Like, these kids don't know how to do that.
Yeah, it's true.
McGonagall.
Yeah. With the Weasleys, with everyone else, like all together. I think
know,
that's
but
what
he
I'm
still
trying
has
to.
Death Eaters, which they clearly, like Snape and Voldemort were not in Hogwarts, and a lot of them died, like the good side, by Death Eaters.
Right.
So how are these kids going to defeat Voldemort?
I don't know. With
That's why
love.
it's not true. With love.
Love, of course.
That's why he can't be dead.
Yeah, so, but how does that work?
How does
Like,
him being alive.
yeah, so
Because
Voldemort.
either Voldemort, it backfires and Voldemort dies, not Harry. Or Voldemort kills part of himself, so then it makes Voldemort weaker, and then Harry can kill Voldemort and Nagini in one shot.
He gets
Or
them
someone else is trying to get Nagini while he's going against Voldemort because it didn't work. Because maybe part, like his scar disappears, or part of him disappears, and he can't see into Voldemort's mind anymore.
Yeah, I could
I feel
see
like that's
that.
the only way that it would work.
Like, Harry's safe from a love charm, the same one from his mom and from everyone else. He's
I feel
wearing the
like
watch
it's-
the Weasleys gave him.
Or the Hallows,
He's got all
like
this
I was
love.
saying just before too.
Yeah, and he's a willing sacrifice. So all of these things, I think, help him. So then when Voldemort attacks him, it kills the Horcrux. Or the same thing that happened to Voldemort the first time, bounces back, like you said. And he could die from that. But then Nagini's still a weird loose end. So they would have to just, like, kill Nagini real quick after all that. And then...
But he also, well, I don't know if he'll speak parcel tongue after this, but
In theory, no, but Ron can now. So
Ron's been taking notes, translating. That's Ron's
That was
greatest.
really good.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
you
good
nailed it.
Jen's got it, guys.
watch out. Part Slytherin too. Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else in this chapter before we listen?
I'm just waiting to see how the gold stuff that came out of Harry's wand comes back.
Yeah.
What was the deal?
Yeah.
There's something magical happening that goes beyond what we understand.
Wait, like right now?
Well, in this chapter, he mentioned his wand.
Saying that.
He mentioned the phoenix feather wand that broke when he left the Dursleys.
okay.
So to have a callback to that wand right now and
Yeah.
this like walk, it just makes me think, well, yeah, I forgot about that. What was the deal? It
or
broke.
Fox will come
and then
and
it-
drop his wand fixed.
Oh yeah, is Fox ever coming back?
That'd be cool.
Can tears bring you back from the dead or only heal you?
What about or can tears bring back a wand?
Can it heal the wand because it was Fox's feather?
And wait, the fox feather, it dies and then it comes back.
Right.
So maybe
Maybe
his wand died.
Fox
and
dove
then
right
can
in
come
and
back.
intercepted the attack. Yeah, you're right. It would come back and then reform. Well, you know, it's not that satisfying, but there's something in all these missing pieces.
Oh, that's what we were told, right? How
What-
this ends. It's not that satisfying.
Yeah, no, I don't know. John said we get answers to our questions, but
But
they won't
not-
necessarily be the answers we want.
I don't know. I'm gonna set my expectations low.
Yeah. Keep your expectations. Yeah. Yeah.
Also, another thing I was thinking is, did we see Tonks in the Resurrection Stone? Is there a chance she's alive?
I don't think we saw her just because she's not.
She's not as
significant
important
character
to Harry. Yeah. So did Harry get to choose who popped up?
Who was it
Probably
again? His
subconsciously.
parents?
Subconsciously
And
chose.
Lupin?
Yeah, just like the people most
Sirius,
important.
Lupin, his
Oh,
parents.
serious. That's right.
Um,
They were all friends though too.
Yeah.
Like as I don't know if
Yeah, true.
that's
Yeah.
maybe an outlier, but
The
Yeah.
abandoned
that
boys
grade
had
was
all found a home
cursed,
here.
huh? Everyone from that grade died.
I know. Everyone's dying in this book. What the heck? And it's like this chapter is kind of like Harry's a cursed guy walking toward his death. It's like everyone who kind of interacts with Harry is cursed. So it's like, will some people meet their demise in the next few chapters? Like, will
That's
more
why
people
he
die?
sacrificed.
Right.
Which is just a little devastating of a point. Which is, yeah, Jen, why do you think that the sacrifice is going to be covering those people to some extent?
Yeah, like exactly. Then no, they can't die. That's how they could defeat everybody. Because Harry's love protection is their shield.
All right, what if he
Ancient
dies
magic.
and then he comes back?
But
But
how
unlike
would he do
anything
that?
else. Because he's not real.
Because he's not real. Whoa.
This is all a
He
dream.
defeated
It's all in his
death.
head. Yeah.
Isn't that like Inception or whatever
Yeah.
that movie? It was
Oh,
all
like
a
all in
dream.
his
head, yeah.
Dun, 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 dun. See?
Could you imagine
That
if
Biggie
the whole
song.
entire series is really all in Harry's head?
Yeah.
He wakes up, he's under the cupboard, he's still 11. He's,
Yeah.
oh,
Devastating. would
that'd
that
be
be?
crazy. And then Dudley's just banging on the door,
Yeah,
giving him
yeah.
a hard
Oh my
time.
gosh.
All the books were a dream. And then that would be a very sad dream.
That song. It's like
I don't think I know that song.
you don't know that song?
Do I know that song?
They both probably don't know
Oh, true.
it.
Before our time, huh?
It
No,
starts
but-
with "It was all a dream."
Yeah, if you don't know,
I used to
it
read
was
Word Up
all a
magazine.
dream.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's a
there we
Biggie
go.
song.
I mean,
Come
I was
on.
gonna
Of
say,
course
Wow,
you know
nice.
that song.
I was
No.
singing it,
Yeah.
I don't
but
think
no
so.
one heard it except for
No, I heard it. It
naturally.
just doesn't mean anything to me. It could have been a song you were making up. I don't know.
yeah. I'm famous then. Whoa.
All right, give me. I mean, Harry's probably our favorite character in this chapter. Harry's probably the hot tamale in this chapter. Do you have a favorite moment in this chapter at least? I mean, unless you have different ones for this as well.
His mom and him were cute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great moment.
Telling me
Sweet.
you're
Yeah.
so brave, and I think it's sweet they had people to walk with him
Yeah.
too. His not death, but yeah.
It's gonna be when you guys again go through your second read. It's gonna be interesting. The way this chapter is written, it's just such good writing. So like every line just has so much meaning to it and so much like importance, and it just everything leads to this. Some of the lines in this chapter, and when you reread it, you're like, you really appreciate how good of a writer she is for squeezing so much like meaning into some of these lines. It's fantastic.
So what are we missing?
I know.
What are we
read between the
missing?
lines now?
All the things that we'll pick up on our next read.
What did I miss in my second read? A lot.
Yeah, I think my favorite moment is the one with Lily and Harry too. Just like looking at each other and they like can't get enough. It's just such a devastating moment.
And I guess Harry's just the favorite character.
Yeah.
Are there any hot tamales in this one? No,
It's
no,
the whole
no.
culmination of the book. So you're like, Harry's got to win this one.
Yep. I guess Hagrid is a little bit of a hot tamale.
Yeah.
He's standing up for Harry.
Yeah. Yep. Well, thanks for joining us on this journey of Harry Potter and the First Time Readers.
No reading, Jen.
I'm not reading it. I'm reading the last page of
Oh.
this one.
Refreshing memory real quick before we
The
read.
boy who lived. I was reading between the lines.
Yeah, Voldemort says the boy who lived, right? All right, I'm going to go set up.